Morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I'm doing well. I am busy. It's a busy season right now. Traveling the state, doing my real work, my law firm work, and then also teaching this Virginia and Utah concealed carry class. And it's been a lot of traveling, to say the least. I was in Frederick County, which is at the top of the state, for a 2-day jury trial on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and then I had to come to Virginia Beach for a gun class, and then I had to go back to Page County for a gun class, and now I'm back in Virginia Beach, so it's a lot of traveling. But I'm really glad to be here with you all to give you an update of what's going on.
Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here. So I think what we're doing this morning is talking about some of the updates from the General Assembly. Is that what we want to chat about today?
Yes, and just remind everybody, you used to be the past chairman. Remind everybody of what all you really have your thumb on the pulse of a lot of stuff. So yeah, remind everybody who you are.
Sure. So I'm a lawyer down in Virginia Beach, and I was previously elected to the Virginia House of Delegates. I served in the House of Delegates, and then I came out of the House of Delegates when we lost a seat in Virginia Beach due to redistricting. We had a population shift where people had left Virginia Beach and went to Northern Virginia, so they basically took my seat and they plopped it into another jurisdiction up in Northern Virginia. And that would have put me into a primary contest between myself and Rob Bloxham. And because Rob Bloxham was a more senior member of the House, I decided not to primary him. So came out and have been working on the outside since, but keep up with all of the happenings of the General Assembly and update them on my social media page, on Facebook and on X and on TikTok as often as I possibly can. And there's a lot going on in the General Assembly this year, and a lot more than should be going on when one party has a trifecta of government. But there's so much to talk about and so much to give you all an update of what's going on. And I can jump into it, or if you have specific questions, we can do whatever you prefer. Just jump into it?
Yes, thank you.
All right, great. All right, so what's interesting about the Virginia General Assembly this year is that we have a trifecta of government, meaning that the Democrats have the House and the Senate, and they have the governor. So it's supposed to be a pretty harmonious process, but it is anything but harmonious between the governor and the General Assembly. And we saw a couple cracks in the armor in the very first veto wave of the governor. And the first big one came when Fairfax County was asking to have a referendum to ask voters whether they would like to have a casino in Northern Virginia, in Fairfax County. And without any notice, without any conversation, Governor Spanberger just vetoed that bill, and she didn't even notify the patron, who was Scott Servell. Scott Servell is one of the more powerful Democrat senators in the Virginia Senate. And then he went on this kind of like social media rant. I know Scott very well from being in the General Assembly. He's a petulant little baby, and if you make him mad, he will retaliate. So he retaliated against the governor, and you started seeing the rift early on in this legislative process between them. Well, it's generally only gotten worse since then. We saw the governor veto some priorities of Democrats that are very, very, very important to them. She vetoed collective bargaining for the localities. This is a big priority for the Virginia Democrats for a lot of reasons, but mostly collective bargaining solidifies Democrat control, because what it does is when you unionize workers, the unions then use the money that they take from the employees, and some of that money goes back to political candidates, and overwhelmingly, those political candidates are Democrats. And so it creates a very healthy, stable revenue stream from workers. And so the provision was going to allow every state government, every local government in the state of Virginia to collectively bargain. And then, of course, there'd be teachers, there'd be police, there'd be firefighters, there'd be the zoning administrators. Every government worker would be allowed to collectively bargain, and then those unions would obviously be siphoning money directly to Democratic candidates. She vetoed that, and that really made a lot of Democrats very, very angry. But she vetoed it because the mayors of these localities were asking her to veto them. When you look at what happened in Fairfax County when they allowed collective bargaining for their teachers, it created a $300 million deficit when the teachers demanded a 6% raise, and under the threat of strike. And so they gave the raise, and then it blew a $300 million deficit into Fairfax County's budget. And government, it doesn't produce anything. All government does is take, and then they spend. And so if you have to raise $300 million more, then either you have to raise taxes or you have to cut other government in other ways. And so Fairfax County went through a tremendously large real estate tax increase to be able to adjust this. And this is one of the reasons why they're trying to cover this with a casino, because the casino revenues would help offset this hole in the hull that collective bargaining has created. But unfortunately for them, that's not going to happen, nor is collective bargaining going to happen in other jurisdictions. And so, here's Fairfax out there allowing collective bargaining, and other jurisdictions like Virginia Beach aren't. And that really creates an imbalance in government, that makes Fairfax look insane. So she vetoes that. She vetoes PDAB, which is the Prescription Drug Affordability Bill. And I'm definitely a free market kind of guy. I don't like the government telling me how much prices should be on certain things. But when you look at pharmaceuticals have been taking advantage of Americans for many, many, many years. We make the drugs here. We research and design the drugs here. And then when the pharmaceutical companies price the drugs, Americans pay one price, and people in other parts of the world pay significantly less for the exact same drug. And that is so patently unfair that what prescription drug affordability was going to do was be able to get some arms wrapped around certain things to make sure that if a drug is being sold in Australia for 80% less than what it's being sold for in the United States, that it would have to be priced at the lowest price point anywhere sold. So having said all of that, that bill was bipartisanly supported by Republicans and Democrats, and the governor vetoed that. This kind of indicates her siding with pharmaceutical companies over Virginians, and everybody's mad at her about this, Republicans and Democrats, and the AARP's mad at her. Everybody's mad at her for vetoing that. But she's clearly running for vice president or president, who knows? And if she's going to run for that higher office, she cannot make the pharmaceutical companies mad. So she's actually siding with her political interests more than the people of Virginia. She then vetoed the medical marijuana marketplace, which this one is very interesting because a senator, a very prominent senator, Senator Eben, resigned his seat to become the marijuana czar of Virginia. And, he did that with the understanding that there was going to be a marketplace and he'd be running this marketplace in Virginia. And she vetoed that this year. So this guy who's quit his job in the General Assembly is now twiddling his thumbs for the rest of this year because there's nothing to do until the General Assembly gets back into gear next January, and might or might not pass something then in the short session. So it's very interesting. I've commonly been in positions where I do make everyone mad at the same time, but I've never seen I've never seen anyone as good as Abigail Spanberger as making everyone mad at the same time. Labor's mad at her. The Second Amendment community is clearly mad at her. The AARP and the elderly are mad at her. The marijuana people are mad at her. I mean, everybody is mad at her. And then this all spins up to this pivotal point. We don't have a budget. And on July 1, the budget is, if we don't have a budget, the state shuts down. So there's a big underfight on the budget between whether we're going to tax data centers or not. And the senators, Senator Lucas from Portsmouth, who just got a visit from the FBI, which I'm not sad about at all, she wants to tax these data centers, and Abigail Spanberger and Don Scott do not. Don Scott's the House of Delegates Speaker. And so there's this impasse between Abigail Spanberger and Louise Lucas, and there's a lot of cracks. There's a lot of crap talking between the two sides on social media. And so, so then after all of this happens, Abigail Spanberger gives an interview to the Cardinal last week and says that the reason she's being treated so unfairly is gender bias. So she's pulling out, oh, I'm the female and I'm not being treated the same as I would if I was a male card, which is hilarious because she's basically accusing Democrats of treating her in a gender biased way. And of course, you know, that is really, really making the General Assembly members even more angry at her. So it's total chaos. Now, this is all interesting to watch as a Republican because as a Republican, we have no power. We have no say. Republicans can't do anything. They're completely wiped off the board in Virginia this year and next year. The Republicans only have about 35 seats in the House, and they only have 19 seats in the Senate, and that puts them squarely in the minority. So Republicans have no say in government. So when you're kind of sitting on the sidelines, it's fun to watch the Democrats literally go at each other. They literally have no one to fight with other than themselves. And then when they are bored with fighting with themselves, they start fighting with other Democrats. There was this in Fairfax County. There's this state. The state delegation up there, the Democrats up there, got super mad at the chair of the Fairfax Board of Supervisors because in a private conversation, he called a Fairfax County school board member a bimbo. And he called her a bimbo in a text message to this other person, but unfortunately, the school board member who was the referred bimbo was on that text message. So she like spun that up, and we have now we have seen like total condemnation from the Fairfax County Democrats about the usage of bimbo, and so we have been if you can see them here, we have bimbo hamburger buns that we are just trolling them with. We're inviting them to barbecues with bimbo hot dog or hamburger and hot dog buns, which, by the way, you can get those at Walmart if you want to join in the fun. And so they're literally just fighting with everyone. They all hate each other right now, and it's hilarious to watch. But all being said, it is really fascinating to see that they could be substantially moving the ball here, but instead they want to fight with each other. And that's great for us because, again, there's nothing we can do to stop anything that they are doing in the General Assembly or with the governor. And so the more they fight with each other, the better it is for us. So all we can do is just continue to try to feed the flames and continue to try to make them as angry as they can at each other. And it seems to be working. So I'm very, very happy to see all of that. The final undertone here, and this is the most fascinating part of it, I think, is this. So Louise Lucas's comms director, his name is Ben Tribbett. And Ben Tribbett is he had made some statements about Abigail Spanberger's chief of staff to the effect of Abigail's female chief of staff is pregnant with a man from the General Assembly, not her husband. And so anyway, she ends up having this baby, and the baby comes out, and clearly it is her husband's baby. And so she is suing, the chief of staff is suing Ben Tribbett for millions of dollars in defamation. So you have Abigail Spanberger's chief of staff suing the leader of the Senate comms director for defamation. So it is just fascinating to watch this chaos unfold amongst them. They are acting like children, and the more they act like that, the better it is for us. So right now, what we're doing now is we're just waiting to see if they're going to have a budget. They do have dates set. The House is going back in the mid part of June. The Senate is going back on the 22nd of June. And they're going to have to get some reconciliation here on this data center fight, or the state's going to shut down. So we're watching that very closely, and we're seeing what they're going to do. But fundamentally, the likelihood of them passing some kind of a budget is likely, but everybody is going to create as much drama as they can between now and then.
Well, you know, the thing we learned from all that, Tim, too, is that our party needs to be better than that. We need to hang together and not get all this drama going on. And, you know, I know that's what Jeff is really promoting. I think everybody is. You know. Do we have any questions out there? Yes.
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's talk about the main Second Amendment issues of what we're looking at. First off, the most important thing to know about the laws that they passed this year is that they all really affect the purchasing of certain new weapons after July 1, not the ownership of weapons after July 1. So any type of firearm that anyone owns before July 1, you will still be able to own. You would not be a criminal. You would not be in any jeopardy of prosecution. Any gun that you legally purchased before July 1, you would still get to be able to legally own in Virginia. The issue is going to be is can you walk into a gun shop after July 1 and buy what they are calling assault weapons? So an assault weapon is defined by a variety of different definitions by the Democrats this year, but the big one is mostly the semi-automatic rifle platform, which is the AR-15, the AK-47, the M4 platforms. So you will not be able to walk into a gun shop after July 1 and buy any of these weapons that they are considering assault weapons. The other weapon that they're not going to let you buy after July 1 would be pistols that have magazines that hold more than 15. So if you were to walk into a gun shop today, you could buy a Glock 17 9mm pistol, and it would come with a 17-round magazine. On July 1, you can come in and you can buy that same gun, but it would only be able to be sold to you with a 15-round magazine. So, but anything that you can have and keep before July 1. And so that's the easiest way to describe an extremely complicated piece of law. The question is does it go into effect on July 1? And as of right now, it does. Now, certain lawsuits have been filed in Bristol and in Lancaster by Gun Owners of America and BCDL and some other of these groups that have filed lawsuits. But as of today, right now, there's been no injunctions put in place. And so unless a court were to enjoin one of these laws, you can expect that these will go into effect on July 1. And until the courts knock them down, they will be in effect. The typical turnaround process to go from day of filing lawsuit to getting in front of the Virginia Supreme Court is about 2 years. Now, I know we saw that redistricting fight go much faster, but fundamentally, I don't think you're going to see any type of Second Amendment injunctions go fast like that. So This is a multi-year fight that is going to likely be moving forward. And so we'll see how this goes. There's also litigation pending in federal court, and so we'll see how see what judges do. But until a court issues a statewide injunction on any of these laws, they are set to go into effect on July 1.
Okay, Tim, we actually have people here from Matthews, Middlesex, and Gloucester. We're the Mid-Penn Breakfast Club, so we have representatives from all of them. Scott Gibbs, our chairman in Matthews, is on the Zoom. I know there's been a lot of talk about, and I see somebody put into the chat about the proposed amendments that the Dems have proposed. But believe me, RPV is getting into it, right? Can you speak on that just a minute, the proposed amendments?
Yeah, sure. So here's just my take on this with the state party and just with committees that I see in general. And I'm sure you all have seen this in your own local committees. There are certain people in every committee at the state central level and below that are more interested in the parliamentary procedures of Robert's Rules of Order than actually getting into fights with the Democrats. They'd rather fight and bicker with each other on procedure and points of order than they would be able to create a sharp spear towards Democrats. Every Republican member of the General Assembly voted no to these amendments, and yesterday the State Central Committee still failed to take a position that the state party is going to be firmly on a no vote. They want it to go to a resolution committee now. They want it to do this and that. It's all ridiculous, in my opinion. And so the party, every unit, every Republican needs to be firmly hell no to these three amendments. And here's why. The three amendments are generally popular amendments amongst people. Gay rights, for instance. A huge majority of Virginians are absolutely A-OK with gay people getting married in Virginia. It's more than 75% when polled. And so what they're saying is should we allow gay marriage in Virginia? Well, gay marriage is already legal in Virginia. The Supreme Court has already established that in a 2015 case. And so what they're doing with this is they are embedding gender as a protected class in the gay rights amendment. Now this has been done in other states, and every state that this has been done in through the marriage question, then it kind of permeates like cancer throughout the law, and it gets into things like child custody, and it gets into things like CPS enforcement. And we have seen in many states, if my son Alex says, "Dad, from here forward, you will call me Sarah," and I'm like, "The hell I will," and I don't affirm his ideology that he thinks he's a girl, then the state can come and take your kids in northern states. This is happening, and this all comes in through gender becoming a protected class through marriage equality. And so, so while it's a popular amendment, and people generally would say, sure, I don't care if gay people get married, it is, they're embedding a very ticking time bomb into the Constitution that is going to explode, and it's going to allow girls and boys bathrooms, or boys and girls bathrooms. I mean, it's going to just permeate everything. It's going to affect people's rights to adopt. It's going to affect churches' abilities to like Catholic Charities to not do gay adoptions. I mean, it's just crazy what this does in other states. So it's a no. I mean, it's not that we don't think people who are gay shouldn't get married. That doesn't matter to me. But it does matter that gender doesn't come in. And when I was in the House, I had a constitutional amendment that would have taken out the language in our Constitution that would have made that prohibited gay marriage. Just took it out. Doesn't add anything to it, just takes it out. But Democrats don't want to do that. They want to add all this gender language in, and there's a very, very evil express purpose. So it's an absolute no. That's why every Republican voted against it in the General Assembly. The next one is abortion. Now, see, the abortion amendment is a real problem because it will basically say that a woman can get an abortion for any reason up until birth, and if you want to do a late-term abortion, it can be simply for mental health reasons. Not because the baby is unviable or because the mother may die, but even just for mental health reasons. So it basically takes all the guardrails off of abortion and basically says the state can't put any laws on there to say other than if it's a late term abortion, one doctor has to affirm instead of three, which we currently have, one doctor has to affirm that there would be some mental health problems with having the baby, the healthy human baby. That's what that does, and that is disgusting. And takes no debate. Nobody needs to be thinking about this. It's a hell no. Absolutely not. We're not going to put this in the Constitution. It's clear. That's why every Republican voted against it. The third one is this. The felons to be able to vote. I'm a big proponent of this. I think felons should be allowed to vote as soon as their criminal sentence is done. When your sentence is paid, your debt is paid to society. You should have your rights back. You should have your Second Amendment rights. You should have your rights to vote back. All of it should come back to you. Of course, the Democrats don't think that about the guns. They just think that about voting. Well, that's fine, but in this amendment, there is a provision that is going to allow people that have been legally declared incompetent to be able to vote. So grandma who's in the nursing home who doesn't know her kids' names and has a guardian appointed to her would still be allowed to vote. And of course we know why that is because, they're having these absentee ballots mailed to them in the nursing homes and everybody in the nursing home votes the exact same way. Wow, how shocking that is. So it's hell no to all three. And what's frustrating about the state party is it's that simple. It doesn't need to go to a committee. It doesn't need to be debated. It's no. We trust our elected representatives. Everybody should be voting no. So I don't know why they're messing around at this level. Just get out there and say no. We have early voting in 3 months. And we need to have a campaign of information because the Democrats are going to reword these amendments just like they did the redistricting amendment where do you want to restore fairness in elections? And so we've got to get everybody, full steam, every committee, every women's group, every breakfast group, the state party, everybody needs to be saying these amendments are bad for these reasons, and it has to be messaging. The last thing we need to do is be screwing around with sending things to committees and talking about Robert's Rules of Order, which is everything State Central did yesterday, and that's a shame. So we've got to move on without them because we have less than 90 days. Well, we have a little bit more than 90 days from right now before early voting starts, and we've got to get past 3 very popular ideas and get this to the public so they understand what's going on. All hands on deck on these amendments.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying all that because the devil is in the details on all these amendments and people are saying, oh, it's okay. It's okay. No, when you really look at it, it's not okay. And I've actually got handouts up here on all 3 amendments I'm going to be giving out today. We actually we're partnered with VAMFA, with Dr. Sheila Fury's group, and we're partnered with Family Foundation. And so we're going to be doing a lot to push against these amendments. So thank you so much. I know you've got to go. Let's give him a hand, huh? Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for taking time to be with us.
It's good to see y'all. Have a great day.
Stay well.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.